Hi, Dr. Marcie here from Behavior and Beyond, where I bring you realistic ideas for real life behavior. And I am beyond excited for today's guest. We are talking with Susan Winter, a best-selling author and New York City relationship expert. Welcome, Susan.
Hi, Dr. Marcie. How are you today?
I am wonderful and thrilled to be sitting down to chat with you. As you know, I'm usually talking about parenting, so I'm talking to adults about how to deal with their children. And today we're taking a little bit of a turn and shaking it up and really focusing back on how parents can focus on each other and their relationship to make sure that they are strong in their support network and in their love, because it's just so important. And I love how you talk about relationships across the board.
Thank you. That's so wonderful. It is hard because the minute, you start as lovers and then you get married and you have your children and you want to keep focusing on your partner, but the kids that's a constant the series of fires you have to keep putting out, so it keeps distracting your attention away from your mate. Mm-hmm. It is a challenge. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, it takes real discipline, and it takes forethought, and it takes planning.
Okay, so, and I love that because that sounds to me like there are action steps that can happen. Yeah. So what are just, your top 2 or 3 things that parents can do to make sure that they stay connected in love?
I know this isn't sexy, Dr. Marcie.
It's okay.
And make it on the calendar. It's effective. Put it on the calendar. Carve out time that realistically that you can spend together, and start small. Start with 15 or 20 minutes at 10 o'clock before you go to bed, holding hands, looking at each other, just in each other's arms. If you don't make it on the calendar and set an agreement, be accountable for it, and also make it doable, you'll never continue to do it. So start small. Part of it is engaging our partner to want to do it. In theory, they want to do it. In reality, they're tired. They're like, oh God, please, I just want to chill and watch some TV. Okay, you can do that. All we need to do is this. And if you make it small enough, you can actually make it a habit, because habits stick. When you do things repetitively, it becomes a habit. Then we become accustomed to that. Your partner would start to miss Tuesday at 10 o'clock if you didn't have a little 15-minute snuggle time. But to make it doable and make it continually doable, I suggest starting small. Just like you wouldn't just say, okay, I'm going to eat 1,000 calories a day and I'm going to go to the gym at 5 a.m. for 2 hours every day. It's unrealistic. You're not going to do it. So set a realistic goal according to both of your schedules.
And I love that you said to put it on the calendar for like Tuesday at 10 p.m. So it's the same day and time every week, and it becomes kind of cemented in, just like if you had a meeting with your boss every week, you don't change it, or your kids have to get to school for 7:30 start, it's not changeable. This date time, this activity should be held to the same standard, yeah?
Exactly. And so that's what you start with your accountability. And of course, things will come up. You might have snuck out early at 7 o'clock, gotten a babysitter, and you've gone to the movie. And maybe you're snuggling in the corner of a bar, before you go home, or a restaurant before you go home. But it may change, but the point is to set it and make an agreement to do it. And have your mate understand philosophically why this is important. I think when we can get our partner on board with how it's going to impact our relationship, and more importantly, how it's going to benefit them. I'm happy, we're going to be happy.
So can you talk a little bit about that, of why is it so important to have this intimacy, this physical intimacy together? Like, what could one parent say to the other to get the other to understand?
This keeps the sexy going, honey. You want the sexy going? This is going to help. You want me to be feeling desirous and attracted to you all the time and have that little sparkle in my eye? This is what I need to do it. And you know what? It's really good for us. It creates a bond in a lot of ways. Touch, hugging, it's de-stressing for you. It's connecting for me. You're going to feel connected. Just do me a favor. Let's try it. Let's make a commitment. 1 month, we'll try it. We'll do Tuesday and Thursday at 10 o'clock. 15 minutes, that's all I want. Just indulge me and let's see how it feels. So
you make that sound so simple.
well, if you make it not sound like one more chore they have to do, and you make it not sound like you're dictating the rules, then they'll feel more freedom, I think. And they have to understand philosophically why you need this and why it's going to benefit them.
I love it. So simple. All right. On the calendar, there it goes. Both of you agree upon it. Brilliant. Okay. So here's my next question is when it comes to parenting, there's often disagreements. You know, one parent wants, you know, to go to dance class. The other parent wants soccer class. And just, there are little things that parents argue about all the time around their children. Right. And those are kind of the non-invasive topics, let alone, you know, yelling at your kid, do they get dessert? There are all these things.
Right.
So how does a couple prevent that disagreement or that constant negotiation not to impact their entire relationship and kind of leave that about the kids? Like, we disagree about the kids, but I still respect you. I still love you. We are still connected in a team together.
Well, you've actually framed the answer in the way you've asked it, because you put all the vital ingredients in there. One, it is a negotiation. And no differently than when you go to the boardroom, you're going to have to give some and you're going to have to make sure you get some. So think of it as a negotiation and enlisting them in a better way. And a little trick is look for the third option. Your partner has their point of view, you have your point of view. What have you not considered that's the third option?
I like that. Because there's always somewhere in the middle or some alternative that's neither.
Yeah. Because if we get too fixated in our positions, we can't move. And so what we're looking for is the teeter-totter. We're looking to find our way to the middle. Maybe we have to make a whole new teeter-totter and find our way to the middle. So creative thinking and enlist your partner in problem solving. You could make it fun. If you approach it with a sense of humor, a lot of the meltdowns that we have with our partner, I kind of had to go to a default of, when I would be met with a stone wall, I had to figure out, how do I get around this? How do I get around it? How do I get? And so I'd start to use humor and make it really light and start the conversation. It doesn't seem like a conversation, doesn't seem like we're having a talk, and yet things are going to be resolved. So I start fooling around and throwing things out, and then just the lightness of my mood allows them to be more flexible instead of, we have got to figure this out. We got 2 minutes to sign up. Is it going to be baseball or is it going to be, hockey, whatever. So I think that's
awesome. I love it. And how do they make sure that not every conversation they're having is around parenting?
Well, it's hard because you've got kids. That's a mental discipline. Look, get a babysitter, get Aunt Tilly to take the kids for a day. I mean, do whatever you have to do to carve out private time. It's going to be hard because your parents, that's your number one thing, is watching over your little ones. But good news, they're going to grow up. Bad news, you can have different problems. You're both going to tear your hair out together. You're going to find things for which you don't think there's a solution. Then finally life changes and then you've got the greatest kid in the world. So I don't know. I think you've got to hold hands and just, work your way through it. You're not going to agree on everything. Well, what have you found? What's your golden key?
For the disagreements?
Yeah.
I tend to go for decide what's best for your child as opposed to what you think is best, right? Like, I want to do ballet because I took that as a kid, and you want to do soccer because you did that as a kid. Well, okay, but what does our child actually need? What do they show the most interest in?
That's easy. Make them the third option.
Yeah.
Great.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, I like that.
Well, that's what you were doing anyway. That's brilliant.
Mm-hmm. So as you were talking there, you talked about the kind of the stress of parenting, right? So many of the families in my community have children with special needs. And one of the biggest things that I wanted to see if you had some wisdom around is the divorce rate is even higher around children with special needs, significantly higher than the general public, which is plenty high enough. So just that stress of, is there a way to use kind of the challenges that arise to bring you together as a couple as opposed to tear you apart?
Well, you really need backup. Know one person or two people can be the full-time caregivers to a special needs kid. It is so all-consuming. You need to reach out to your community, reach out if you have the financial resources, find out when you don't have the financial resources, what organizations will help you, because whomever the person is that's the main attendant needs to have a backup, and the backup needs to have a backup, or you guys will burn out so quickly. When my mother was incapacitated, I went through this. I had a main caregiver, then I had a backup for him and a backup for the backup. And even with me, it was just, it's a lot. And sometimes finances impact what you'd like to do as opposed to what you can do. In that case, it seems the opposite of what should be done, but the couple has to get away and get time for themselves to play and relax. They have to take a break or they'll burn out.
Yeah. So in some way, I mean, what that answer feels like is sort of like your answer to the first thing that we started talking about of you have to schedule the time to make sure that you guys can get the respite you need. And parenting can feel so demanding that you're just constantly on the treadmill running, but taking that time to say, okay, every 6 months we're going to take a weekend away or whatever it is that you can do. But I also love the idea of community, because it really does take a village to raise a child. And I think that's a beautiful point that you bring up, to make sure that they're having that support.
And there are other parents in the same situation. Put your heads together. How are they handling it? Can you, since they know if they live anywhere near your community, can they take over so you can take a shower, get your nails done, feel like a human being again, get some sleep? I mean, so you could help each other. Maybe asking those kinds of questions. Two people can't do it alone.
Got it. So learning to ask for help is really a huge piece of maintaining the relationship.
That's a therapist, and you ask, you know what the questions are. I love that. You bring on all the information.
A little bit. So, which brings me to just one more thought that I would love for you to touch on is, I think that can sometimes feel really selfish of what I'm going to ask someone for help, or I'm going to even ask my partner for help so that I can take a nap, or so that I can get a massage or get my nails done. Like that's for me, but I think self-care isn't selfish. And in relationships, how do you help people navigate through really being willing to ask for the help that they need so that they can maintain their grounding, but also be willing to show up and give that to their partner?
So there's guilt when we ask for it for ourselves. And we're exhausted oftentimes when we want to be patient with our partner. You know, self-care has really had some changes around its definition over the last 5 or 6 years. I used to think years ago, I'd see these women, the women who lunched, and they would get a massage. And I thought, why are you getting a massage? The woman who's standing on her feet for, 10 hours in Bloomingdale's, she needs the massage, not you, right? But I'm starting to understand that the philosophy is that we have to recharge. And if we don't recharge and we're not connected, we cannot serve, help, and heal others. And even in businesses such as ours, where we have clients that are constantly in meltdown or crisis, I was just telling you before we went on air that I snuck away for 20 minutes on the elliptical in between my clients having a meltdown so I could be focused for you and focused to come back to them. And it's a discipline. You have to find a mental agreement. You have to philosophically agree with the rationale that allows you to do it in order to do it without guilt.
Yeah. And from what listening to you, it also makes me think, and it will strengthen the relationship, because if you have your 20 minutes to go on the elliptical or to go get your nails done, you're then going to come back recharged, not only for your children, which is, what I usually talk about, but also for your partner. That now that 20 minutes of snuggling Tuesday night is going to feel even better because you can actually be present for it.
That's right. That's right. Because to encourage your partner to say, listen, I'm not being indulgent. I'm not feeling entitlement here. I'm doing it to preserve my sanity so that I'm going to come back better and like more centered myself to be a better partner to you and mother to our children.
That is a brilliant way to do it. So now we need to make sure not only do you have time on your calendar for your partner, but to have time on your calendar for yourself. And all of that will bring it back to having a strong, healthy relationship with your partner and a strong, healthy relationship with your kids.
Yeah, because the challenge is balance. It really is. Because I used to watch the Ed Sullivan Show, and they'd always have, in these variety shows, they'd have the guy he'd be twisting the plates on the sticks. And it would remind me so much of my own life. It's like this one's going, okay, this one's getting wobbly. Then you pay attention to this one, then that one's going off. And it's like, oh my gosh, work, family, career, a puppy, children, how do you keep it all going? So we have to stay centered, as you said.
Beautiful. And the reminder that us staying centered strengthens everything around us and makes it capable to have all of those spinning dishes.
Exactly.
Is so important because that's easy to lose sight of.
Exactly.
Amazing. Susan, thank you so much. This was delightful and insightful. And I love the action steps in all of your work.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I personally have been watching everything on your YouTube channel. So I encourage you who is watching right now to go check out Susan Winter on YouTube. I'll put the link there for you. And your website is susanwinter.net, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that is a great place to get all insights. If you want to learn more about Susan, what she does, how she does it, that's a great place. Because there's a wealth of knowledge of how to have an amazing relationship, maintain an amazing relationship so that your life can be fuller and happier for your children, for yourself, for your partner.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Marcie. I've really enjoyed this talk with you.
Yes, it's been wonderful. And thank you for staying with us and watching. We will see you next time. Have an amazing day. Bye.